All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to talk about what's in the bag for Scotland. That's right, the Scotland trip is upon us. I'm going to be flying out in 3 days. Today's Friday, April 28th, and I'm flying on Monday, May 1st to Amsterdam, then Amsterdam to Inverness. I'll be there next Tuesday through the following Sunday, so about 6 days. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited. I've been talking about this trip for several months now on the channel, and it's finally here. If you watched the video chat between Andy Groh and I, Andy's my travel partner for this trip. We talked about the planning for the trip, where we're playing. If you haven't watched that, check it out because it gives you all the details about what our itinerary is. But we also mentioned in that video that we were going to use ship sticks to get our clubs over to Scotland ahead of time. And I'm very happy to report that the clubs got there 4 days sooner than they were supposed to. So they were waiting for us at Tain Golf Club as we speak. And yeah, I couldn't be happier with the process with ship sticks. I'll show you how I packed my bag through photos in a little bit. And I'll also show you the specific clubs that I brought or that I packed, just to kind of give you an idea of what you could do if you go on this trip yourself. The other thing I'll mention too is that in that video chat between Andy and I, we discussed that we were going to send emails to the golf courses ahead of time, just to let them know that we were coming. And I'm really happy that we did that because there's a lot of relief on my part in that I want to film all of these rounds, and I didn't want to just show up with a camera and start filming my round without them without their awareness of what I was up to. So Andy and I drafted a letter, sent it by email to either the club secretary or the club captain. Anybody that we could find a specific name and email associated with the golf course got this email from us, and I'm really happy that we got a response from 9 of the 10 courses on our itinerary, all of which said they were very excited to have us and gave us full permission to film. So what that means is that we're going to have course vlogs from every course that we're playing. There's one course that didn't respond to me, and I think my email got lost in the shuffle with them because we were in contact with them about a different issue, and that's Tain Golf Club, where our clubs are going. So I didn't press that I had sent a separate email than Andy did about letting them know our clubs were there, because I thought that was the more important email that they responded to, and fortunately they did. So our clubs are safe and sound at Tain Golf Club, and I'm not concerned about bringing my camera to that round. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine. And if it's not, that's okay too. But every course that we reached out to was excited to have us, and gave us full permission to film. So that's going to be a benefit to you as the viewer of this channel. You're going to get to see pretty much every aspect of this trip. And now I will say though, that if you're not already a hacker backer, either through Patreon or through the YouTube membership, this is the time to do that, because I'm going to be posting what I hope will be daily diaries of all the behind the scenes stuff of our trip to the members side of this channel. It's not going to be edited much. It's just going to be kind of raw footage that I pull together in the evening of each day and post it to the member side of the channel. So if you're a Patreon member or a YouTube channel member, you'll get to see all that and follow our trip pretty much in real time. I'll also say the other way to follow us in real time on this trip next week is to follow both of our Instagram accounts if you're not already. Mine is just Hickory Hacker, and Andy's is Hickories and Links. You'll find the links to those in the description of this video. But yeah, now's a great time to become a hacker backer, because there's going to be a lot of extra footage that we're planning on putting on the channel and sharing through social media as well. So yeah, there's that. But let's talk about what's in the bag. And the bag, I should say, is special as well. The bag is actually a brand new Steurer and Jacoby bag that Will Jacoby made for me for this trip. I kind of talked about some of the details and specs that I really wanted in a golf bag. And this wasn't like a custom job for me or anything, but Will was able to kind of piece together some of the existing components of other bags and put them together for this particular bag. And you can order this bag as well if it's something that you think would work for you. But I'll show you some photos of that and some of the details of that a little bit later in this video. And Will also provided me a duffel bag in the same material as my golf bag that I can bring with for this trip. So totally geared up by Steurer and Jacoby, and I really want to thank Will and also Bailey for being, such great partners in this channel. They've been they were the first partner I reached out to, and they've been partners, really strong partners with me pretty much since day one on this channel, and I really appreciate their support and the opportunity to share their outstanding products with you. So let's talk about what's in the bag. And by doing that, or the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go through the itinerary of our trip and just kind of tell you what I'm planning on playing at each course, because it's going to be the way I'll kind of describe the clubs I've packed. So as soon as we arrive in Scotland, we're flying into Inverness. Like I said, we'll be there Tuesday afternoon, and hoping that we'll be able to get to Tain Golf Club by about 5 o'clock that evening to pick our golf clubs up. And then only about 20 minutes away from Tain is Tarbat. And Tarbat's a 9-hole course, pretty easy-going layout. We figure it's a great opportunity for us to kind of get our feet wet with Scottish Highlands golf. And we're going to play featherie for that round. Maybe kind of a different way to start a round in your mind, but we figured featherie is such an easy-going way to play golf that when you've been on a plane and you're tired, you really don't have to swing hard. You just kind of enjoy, getting outside, stretching your legs, and you hit a ball along the way. So we're going to do those first 9 holes with featherie. And for the featherie rounds that I'm planning on playing in Scotland, I brought only 2 clubs. So they're the 2 clubs, 2 of the 4 clubs that Brad Carando made for me. And one is the 22-degree short spoon. I think it's a Philp short spoon based on it's a Philp template short spoon. And the other club is the 1870s Tom Morris putter. So both of those clubs are pretty much the workhorses of my featherie setup. Elmer Nahum has also made me a 34-degree baffing club that I love, but I didn't want to try to put extra weight in the bag. I'll talk a little bit later about weight and things like that with what I packed. But I felt like if I have the 22-degree and the putter, that's pretty much all I need in order to get myself up and down, the course. The 22 obviously will work off the tee and for approach shots, and then the putter also works for approaches, with kind of a wrist action. One of the things that I kind of discovered with Kelly Leonard's help when we played together at the Oddball, and you'll see the course vlog of this round that I'm about to talk about in the near future on the channel. But Kelly and I kind of discussed that a wrist action really works wonders with the featherie clubs and the featherie ball. And I discovered that there are shots that I could do with the putter that I didn't think were possible just with the wrist flick. And the 22-degree is similar. Pretty much every featherie club, if you put a little wrist action into your swing, you can come up with some, manufacture some shots that you thought you might need a specific club for, but you don't. You can just kind of do that with some wrist action that kind of adds some loft. It's kind of hard to explain, and I'll talk about it more in the course vlog for the featherie round at the Oddball. But anyway, bottom line is I think you only need 2 featherie clubs to have a great time playing featherie. Denny and Kathy Lane provided both Andy and I with, I think, 3 or 4 featheries each that we have brought with us. So we're going to have plenty of balls to play with, I think. There's definite opportunities to lose balls in Scotland and on several of the courses that we'll be playing. But I think that our plan to play featherie at Tarbat is a good one because from what I understand and looking at the photos, Tarbat's pretty wide open. There's certainly going to be grasses that we need to be aware of. But when you're playing featherie, you're just trying to keep the ball in front of you for the most part, and you're not getting a ton of distance even on a great shot. So I'm not too concerned about losing balls at Tarbat, but I might be wrong. I've never been there, so we'll see. And we're going to make some game time decisions on other courses that right now we have planned to play featherie. But we may, shift that around if we get to the course and we see, oh, this is going to be difficult to play featherie because there's too many obstacles to kind of avoid or what have you. But, we'll figure that out when we're there. As the itinerary goes right now, though, we're going to play featherie at Tarbat, and then the next day we're going to play our round at Tain. And Old Tom is the designer of Tain. And I figure because it's an 1890s course originally, It's been changed over the years, obviously, but I'm going to play gutty golf for that round. It's 18 holes, and I've packed, I think, 4 or 5 park balls, and then the same number of brown balls, and I think I've also packed some braids. So the plan is to start the round with the park, and if I lose a park, then I'll shift over to the brown. Or depending, on how I'm feeling that day, I might stick with the park, or I might just start with the brown right off the bat. The parks are obviously more expensive, so I don't want to lose any of those. And the browns, I don't want to lose any balls, but if I'm going to lose a ball, I'd rather lose a brown. They're all still line cut balls, and I haven't really talked too much on the channel about how I've approached the two different, the park and the brown. So I'll just cover that real briefly. But what I find really interesting about the brown, which if you're not aware, that's the latest line cut pattern ball that Dave Brown offers through McIntyre Golf. And it's called the Brown. And the Brown is really cool in my opinion because it's a modern low compression ball at its core with the line cut pattern on the outside. Now you might say, well, how does that kind of fit gutty golf? Because you're playing a ball that goes a lot further. Well, the way I look at it is in about 1898, when the Haskell ball, which was the first rubber core ball, came on the scene, there was a significant distance discrepancy between how far people were hitting the new rubber core ball versus how far they were hitting the solid gutta percha ball. And I kind of view that in the same way with the McIntyre offerings. So, on a course where it really suits the older style of gutty golf, I think the park is the ideal ball to play, especially if there aren't opportunities to lose it. But then if you play a course that's kind of a transitional course, something that was maybe designed at around 1900 or 1902, thereabouts, just in that window after the gutty ball or the gutta percha ball started to get phased out in favor of the Haskell ball, then you're going to have opportunities to use a ball with a course that was designed for that greater distance, if that makes sense. Now, this is all kind of general because there's been a lot of changes to these courses over the years, but from a historical perspective, it's an opportunity for me to kind of demonstrate to you what the difference would have been between playing a solid gutta percha ball and a livelier Haskell ball. So in my head, if I see a golf course that dates to the 1890s, I'll probably try to play the park until I lose it. And if it's a course that dates around turn of the century, then I'll probably start with the brown because that's probably what they would have been playing with back in the day when the course was first designed. So that's just kind of a walk through my mind that you might regret me explaining, but that's how my mind works when I'm trying to figure out what I want to play at a certain course as far as equipment goes. So for the gutty set, I've only brought 4 clubs. So I've got my putter, which I chose to bring the Tom Stewart pre-1904 Tom Stewart putter because I'm a little more comfortable with it. Let's see. For a lofter, I've got my circa 1896 McEwen lofter. For mashie, I've brought my Cannon Taylor's mashie, which dates to about 1898. And for a tee-off club, I have a unmarked, what I think is probably an Army and Navy, which was a sporting goods supplier in England. Pretty sure that it was one of their clubs, but it's not marked. And that one's about 21, 22 degrees. It's pretty heavy. It's like in the G range for swing weight. So that'll be the club that I use off the tee. I did not bring any woods other than the 2 that I just mentioned for featherie because I just don't think it's a club that I'll probably play, especially when I'm playing on blind holes and on a course that I've never played before. I'm not really keen on hitting potentially expensive park balls blindly into a hole that I've never played before. So I think I'll have a little more control off the tee. I'll have a lot more control off the tee using the iron. It's basically a general iron, I would say, even though it's only 21 degrees. But that'll give me some control off the tee. The game plan, again, is just to try to keep the ball in front of me, not do anything too crazy. And those 4 clubs should get me around with the gutty balls totally fine. I mean, if someone was to ask me what's the minimum, you know, you need to play featherie golf or gutty golf, 2 clubs for featherie, 4 clubs for gutty. I mean, and you could probably even get by without the lofter and just use 3 clubs for gutty. That's just my opinion, but I like to try to be as minimalist as possible, especially on a trip like this where you want to try to bring representative clubs from the different eras, or at least I want to bring representative clubs from the different eras of hickory golf, and you can't put everything you want to bring in your bag. So let's talk about weight real quick. Shipsticks gives you the option, if your default, or if you just stick with the default, you have to make sure that your bag is 50 pounds or less. You could pay a little bit extra right up front though, in order to get some extra weight, limit added to your bag. So I decided to do that, and the most that I could get it up to was 56 pounds, which doesn't seem like a lot over the default, but it's basically a pair of shoes, maybe some extra balls. I figured it would be helpful to have that extra weight. Now, one of the things that I made a mistake doing was buying a cheap digital scale for luggage from Walmart. I figured it would be, good enough to be able to give me an idea of what my bag weighed, but when I tried to use it, I was getting a different reading every time, and I was basically doing the same thing every time to weigh it. So it was somewhat accurate for less than 10 pounds, but then over 10 pounds, it was all over the board, and I couldn't trust it. So I have to be honest, I don't know how heavy my bag ended up being, though when I dropped it off at DHL, DHL told me that if I was over the limit, I would certainly get a bill from Shipsticks, and I never did. So hopefully that means that I was under 56 pounds. And I'll also say that we're not using Shipsticks to get our clubs back to the US. We're going to just take them on the plane with us. So I really do want to make sure that I'm below at least the weight limit for that. I believe I need to be under 50 pounds for that. So that might be tight. I might be getting close to that threshold and have to pay a little bit extra for my golf clubs to get back. But, it's still probably going to end up being cheaper than Shipsticks flying them back. So, yeah, that's the weight aspect of this. And, when I show you what's in the bag, and I'll probably be showing you photos as I'm talking here, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to be comfortable. So the other stuff besides the clubs and the golf bag that I brought was rain gear. And I will say that Shipsticks is pretty particular about what you put in your main travel bag for your golf clubs. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that list. But I didn't do anything out of bounds, but everything made it through customs just fine as far as I can tell so far. And I ended up packing, in addition to my clubs, I strapped one of my tripods for my video work to my bag, and then I put my pillow in kind of a strategic location to add some padding to the golf clubs, and I'm also going to use that pillow when I'm there. So that was helpful. And then I also have 2 pairs of shoes on the 2 side compartments that the club glove provides. So shoes, I think, is a really important thing. Everybody I've talked to that's been to Scotland and everything I've read says you want to make sure you've got multiple shoes with you because they're either going to get wet or you just need to kind of give your feet a change of pace and not wear the same pair every round. So Andy and I are playing 2 rounds a day, hopefully, if all goes according to plan. And my plan for that is, either it's going to be a featherie round or a gutty round in the morning. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's either going to be a featherie or gutty round and then a pre-35 round. So the days are going to be kind of split up that way for the week. And that means that I'll wear the shoes that I normally wear for gutty or in featherie for one of the rounds during the day. And then I'll put those aside and then I'll wear the Fiddler golf shoes that I'm bringing for my pre-35 rounds, which the way our itinerary sets up, pretty much playing a pre-35 round every day and then either a gutty or a featherie round for the other round during the day. So I think that'll be a good way for me to balance the shoes. I'm going to have 3 total pairs. And then in addition to that, I'm also bringing a pair that I can wear in the rain as my travel pair. And if I have to, if everything else gets wet, I can wear those shoes to play golf as well. So, sorry, getting a phone call. That's my wife. I'll have to call her back. So, Yeah, shoes. I think it's important to make sure that you pack multiple pairs of shoes just so that you can, your feet are comfortable. If you're playing as much golf as you probably will be when you're in Scotland, the last thing you want is feet problems and limitations from the shoes you're wearing. So I think I've got the bases covered with 3 pairs of shoes. I'll let you know when we come back if that was a good idea or not. But that took up some extra weight in my bag. So I had to take that into account when I was packing. And the Fiddler golf shoes are going to be great if it's dry. The pair that I'm bringing, I rather not wear in the rain. And fingers crossed and knock on wood, I looked at the forecast this morning for next week, and it looks like we're going to be fairly dry. There are a couple opportunities or a couple chances for showers on a couple days, but for the most part, it looks like it's going to be either sunny or partly cloudy, and the temperature is going to be in the mid to low 50s. So that's perfect. I mean, I love playing golf in temperatures like that. And if it's just a passing shower, which nothing seems like it's supposed to be a rain out yet, I think the rain gear that I brought and the shoes that I brought are going to be good for the instances where it might rain, and then for the dry days I'll wear the Fiddler shoes. So you can wear the Fiddler shoes in the rain. I just prefer not to wear this particular pair in the rain because I don't like getting the leather wet. And I need to find, I need to get one other pair of Fiddler shoes that's a solid brown color, which would be that's basically the one pair of Fiddler shoes that I don't have right now that I would wear in rainy weather, like I do the black ones. So anyway, I'm rambling here a little bit. That covers shoes though, and let's talk about the Steurer and Jacoby bag real quick. The bag that I talked to Will about making, I wanted to make sure the difference between this bag and the bag that I've been using for the last 2 years from Steurer and Jacoby, which is their standard pencil bag. While the pencil bag is great and it's really light because it doesn't have any structure to it really, except for a spine. The fact that it doesn't have any structure around the ring at the top means that it doesn't really work with my Walker trolley that well, and any other trolley for that matter. So what I asked Will to do was, I asked if he had something similar to the pencil bag as far as pockets are concerned and storage is concerned, and having the umbrella loop and just overall weight being somewhat comparable to the pencil bag, but something that had a rigid opening at the top. And he said, yeah, he does. It's kind of the next step up from the pencil bag. And the great thing about it is it's just a 2 divider, divider at the top, but it goes all the way down to the bottom of the bag. So there's a long piece of canvas that separates the 2 compartments, and it's outstanding. Will said they used to have a 3-club, basically 3-compartment divider, but he doesn't have that. He doesn't make many bags with that divider anymore. And I didn't want to get something and use something that I'm going to show you that would be hard for you to get. So the bag that you're going to see and that you're seeing in the photos right now, you can order yourself. And I wanted to make sure that Will wasn't giving me something super custom that would be difficult or expensive for you to obtain if you liked what you saw. So that's the bag that I'm using and that Will made for me. It's customized in that I got my name on the shoulder strap, and there's also a really nice label inside the golf bag that has my name and what the date that it was made. All really cool touches. I mean, I'm keeping this bag forever, so I had no problem customizing it with my name all over it. And yeah, it's going to be perfect for putting on a push cart, which Andy and I are walking every round. Golf carts are pretty much non-existent in most of the courses that we're playing, if any of them. And Andy and I are huge walkers and proponents of walking golf anyway. So we're walking all of our rounds, and all of the courses, to the best of my knowledge, also provide push carts, which they call trolleys there. So I'll be using a trolley when it's available, and because of that rigid opening, it's going to set in the trolley perfect, and it works great with my Walker trolley. I mean, it's almost as if the bag was made for the trolley, and you're seeing some photos of that right now. It's it just works so well together. The other cool thing that I'll mention too is that Will got a couple, I guess, complaints, but just feedback from people who had the wax canvas bags like this that would, when you put them on a golf cart or put them on a push cart, the strap that you'd use to kind of secure everything would rub against the wax canvas. And so now he's provided kind of a little sheath, a canvas sheath that you put over the strap so that when you put it on the golf cart or on your trolley, it doesn't rub against the wax canvas. I thought that was really smart. So I'll be bringing that if I need it. But I forgot to mention that the entire bag is wax canvas, and it also comes with a rain hood. And the other great thing about the rigid opening at the top of the bag is that when you put the rain hood on this, it doesn't collapse it. And I had a rain hood with my pencil bag, which was also wax canvas, so it was weather resistant or water resistant when I was on the course in rain. But because it didn't have any structure, the rain hood would just kind of collapse everything together, and it was really tough to get clubs out on, when it was on, when I wanted to use it, when I was using it. So the rigid opening with the rain hood is outstanding. Everything stays, separated, and I can just unzip it, grab a club, zip it back up, and it works great. So yeah, very excited to use the bag, and very grateful to Will and Bailey for making that happen. The duffel bag that Will made, I'll be using as kind of my travel bag that I'll bring on the plane with me. I've got a separate bag that I'll be putting all my golf clothes in. I'm kind of high maintenance these days, I guess, with all the golf clothes that I have to bring on these trips. So the larger bag that's going to get checked is going to have all of my golf clothes in it, and then the clothes that I'll be wearing on my person, and then my toiletry bag and stuff like that will be in the duffel bag that Will made me, out of the same material as the golf bag. So it's wax canvas, really nice leather components, a lot of pockets in it, more than I've ever had in a duffel bag before. So a lot of places to put stuff, and very excited to use that bag as well. So thanks so much, Will and Bailey at Steurer and Jacoby. But anyway, let's get on to the last bit of what I packed in my bag, and that's the pre-1935 Hickory clubs that I'm bringing. So for this, again, like the gutty sets, you don't need that many clubs to play Hickory golf, period. So I've only got, for my pre-35 clubs, my Tom Stewart driving iron, my Tom Stewart mashie, my Hagen Ironman sand wedge, and then my Tom Stewart RTJ putter. That's 4 clubs. That's all you need, in my opinion, to play pre-35 Hickory golf. And again, if you didn't want to bring the sand wedge, you could probably pick your way out of a bunker with the mashie, though it's just going to be easier if you have something with some loft on it. So that's a pretty Spartan set. If I do the math correctly, I've only got 10 clubs that I'm bringing with to cover the 3 areas of Hickory golf that I kind of, that's my emphasis on this channel: pre-35, gutty golf, and featherie golf. I'm not sure if there are any other categories of Hickory golf that I don't play. But yeah, I felt pretty happy about what I was able to bring, and the representative clubs that the sets, the clubs that are representing the certain eras that I want to cover when I'm over there. Pretty satisfied with what I was able to bring. And again, we'll find out when I get on the course if I wish I had a certain club that I didn't bring. But I don't think so. I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to make do with what I've got. And I'll also say, again, like I did in the conversation with Andy, that Andy and I aren't going over there with the intention of, trying to set course records for score or anything. There's going to be several course vlogs that you'll watch where we're not even keeping score. We're just playing, best ball, and we're just enjoying the scenery and enjoying the course, enjoying hanging out with each other, and then we're hitting a golf ball along the way. So, I think that mentally, when you go into a trip like this where you're playing 36 holes a day, you really can't be hard on yourself as to how you play, because you're just going to be tired, and I expect to be tired pretty much right away because of the flight. And it's not going to get any better, when we start piling 36 holes on our bodies every day. So that's all to say that we're just going to try to enjoy the walk as best we can and not worry at all about our golf game. You're going to see plenty of golf in the course vlogs. We're going to show you every shot like I always do. But I think that our mentality of just trying to go in there and into each round and just enjoy the walk is going to, reap benefits as far as our play is concerned. And we're just going to, put easy swings on the ball. And when you're doing that, you don't need, specific clubs for specific shots. You figure out, what to do in the moment, and you make do with what you've got. So that's all to say that I think I've got everything I need for this trip. Now all I have to do is get myself there, and that all happens in 3 days. So again, if you're not a hacker backer, I'm going to say it one more time. This is the time to become a hacker backer, either through Patreon or YouTube channel membership. Details for that are in the description below. And that way you'll be able to keep track of our trip in real time through YouTube. Where I'm hopefully going to be able to post daily diaries, giving you all the behind the scenes of the trip and sharing with you as quickly and as closely as I can what should be an amazing visit to the Scottish Highlands. So I think that'll do it for this week, folks. Next time I talk to you, I will be in Scotland, and I'm looking forward to bringing you everything that trip provides. So until then, take care. We'll see you next time.